each of my elms, even when they come off the same parent plant, exhibit their own personality and their own responses. This is another one of my elms. I think it came off my Catlin, I'm not sure. And it is just loving it this time of year. It's going crazy. But it's got too much going on. Too much energy at the top of the tree. So he's due for a major pruning, and then I'll show you all my mistakes from the previous year. Mostly it consists of wire scarring, and then we'll look at the roots and see what they're doing. So this branch, which is my number one branch, is bifurcating. Big thick one where you can see the wire scars, and the little one that came off the side. I think long term I'm going to work with the thinner one, but I need to make a decision and say, has this branch reached the thickness that I want? And then I can do the magic paper trick and determine if I want to go with just this to build my foliage pad, or if I want to leave that. I think this is way too clunky based on the thickness of the trunk, but I'm going to leave it for another season with some parts of it staying long so that it will continue to thicken up. This branch, and in theory it's supposed to also thicken up everything below it, but I don't always see that happening. Whee! Alright, so that's all I'm going to take off that branch. Now I come up here, I have this smacking me in the face. I like to get rid of, as a general rule of thumb, things that are shooting straight up. I like to thin out branches. This one is thick, but not quite where I want it, so I'm going to leave some more leaf load on it. Probably let this piece run out unrestricted for the year. And here I am unwiring the improper way, praying I don't rip off the branch, which can happen. You have to be careful. I have managed to break enough branches and accidentally remove them from the tree. Alright, so now go up another level. This is my backish branch, a little higher than I would like. I have a little bud popping out right here, which is lower than I would like. So until I get something where I want it, I'm going to keep this branch. May wire him down. You can see a wire scar there from a previous year. So now I'm working my way up. This is too long. You can see where the cut was made last year, died back to a node and then sprout it out. That one shooting straight up either gets wired down or removed. Come up another branch. So I have these guys going completely vertical, and this one is thicker than the one below it. So I want to limit the leaf load on this branch, following them out, keeping the thinner twigs. Alright, so now we'll come up here. Now here's an interesting point. I've got this branch, which is relatively thick, wire scarred, almost directly opposite that, and then I have one above it. It's coming out closer to the curve. So which one do I keep? Do I keep the lower one, or do I keep the upper one? So I have to decide how that looks without that big one on the bottom, and if I were to wire that into position, or if I am better off with the lower one. Arthur Skolnick said many years ago, when you have a choice between a great branch in a good spot or a good branch in a great spot, keep the one that's in the great spot. So which one is in the better spot? I think I'm going to leave the upper one and remove the lower one. And you can see the wire and how the tree swelled up around it. So work my way up to here. This is just a mess. Too clunky, too clubby. I've got a nice back branch there. I have too many back branches, so don't need that one. Now, this is just assaulting us. And you can see I had a whole bunch of little adventitious branches pop out there. So this is thick and shooting up. This one is shooting up. That one's shooting off to the side. Don't need this one going to the back. I like the beginnings of the crown here, so I think we'll shorten everybody. Keep the thin, delicate ones. Not sure how I feel about this one, but I can always cut it out. Although, who knows, it might just regrow on its own. Now this one here is directly opposite, so that's what they call bar branching and considered a fault, and it starts to thicken up that side of the tree. I'm keeping this little guy here as a backup, and I think we're going to wire that one to the rear. So I'm starting to see the skeleton of the tree. Don't need this growing too crazy this year, so we'll take him back. We'll let him go. I want to bulk up the bottom here. Going to continue to bulk that up. I'm thinking this is as thick as I need it to be for the time being. And it has too much potential leaf load. So take that back. And then this guy over here, he's not doing me anything. So we'll get rid of the thick piece. Keep the thin piece. Alright, so he went from a big shaggy mess to looking like a plucked chicken. So now we'll inspect the roots. See if we have any unwanted visitors. Oh, there's some more oxalis. What a surprise. I need a videographer. This is craziness. Going back and forth. Uh-oh. I don't think I got the roots. He'll be back. So, not too much going on here. I don't see any hint of root mealybugs. I don't see any big problems on the surface. So, inspect the sides. Sow bug, or pill bug, or roly-poly, depending on where you come from. They are not an issue. They are supposed to eat only dead organic material until they run out of dead material. So I'm sure I had plenty for them to chew on with the leaves and whatever detritus there was. So one root shooting across the bottom, not going to bother me. One root coming down. So just do a quick nip. And we'll get rid of the roots that are going around in circles or shooting back in on themselves. I would hardly consider this a root pruning, although technically I did cut the roots, but I wouldn't get worked up over it. Okay, layer of my soil, this media, give it a little hit with some Super Thrive. I like to tease out the roots when I'm bringing them into fresh soil. I don't know if it makes a difference, but it makes me feel better. So I do it. Just tease them. Do the same thing when you're planting a shrub in the yard. Prepare your hole and then cut any circling roots and tease the new roots out so that they go into the nice soil that you prepared for them. Alright. So now, since I raised it up, I've got a little bit of a gap around the perimeter. So, put some soil in, or soilless media, and work it down in between. No air pockets. Air pockets are a problem. They become hiding places for insects, and roots don't grow, well, elm roots don't grow in air pockets. I'm sure I could get an orchid to do that, but not an elm. Alright, you want it firm enough that the tree doesn't wobble around, but not so firm that you can't get your finger in there or a chopstick in there. No liquid fertilizer until the light levels return, which is going to be 2 months easy before I'll even think about a liquid fertilizer on this. So in the meantime, I'll put some slow release fertilizer, pot this size. This is a 1.5 tablespoon measure. I'm at the tablespoon mark. I'm going to use less than a tablespoon, maybe half. And the beautiful thing about this product is that it's supposed to release when the soil temperature and the moisture levels are appropriate, so that the plant can actually take advantage of it. So we'll put him on the shelf and we'll come back to him in a few months and show you what has happened, and hopefully I'll be diligent and stay on top of the pruning and the watering. May wire 1 or 2 branches after I turn off the camera, but you don't need to watch me wire. So this is the spot where I'm supposed to tell you go out and subscribe and like and share, but most importantly, go out and play with your trees.